Chapter 4, I Promise. Part 1. Archangel, I have an urgent message, Sam announced. Jack was flying his ship, returning from another bounty, his sixth this week. When are they gonna learn? He thought. At least it pays well, and the info I got was reliable. Jack switched on the autopilot. Who's it from? He asked. It's from Claire, Xavier's sister, Sam replied. Jack's eyes narrowed. Are you sure, Sam? Yes, Jack, it's definitely from Xavier's sister, Sam confirmed. The message was addressed to the Archangel. Where did you find it? Jack asked. On the official private server, Sam answered. Jack reflected, thinking back to just a couple of years ago, after the Echo 1 incident. He'd laid low, started a company, and began working in the private sector, where the real money was. The trial had given him time to think. How easy it was to be accused of something you didn't even do. Everyone was so gullible. Just sitting in that courtroom felt like a joke. They'd already deemed them guilty before they even walked in. Good thing my drone captured everything. Jack had told no one about that, not even the public pretender, as he liked to call the public defender. He was just there to put on a show, and everyone ate it up. Why did you do it? Reporters would ask as they walked into the courtroom. The whole trial lasted only 5 days, just 5 days. They couldn't wait to shout, guilty, guilty, guilty. Jack remembered Xavier looking at him and saying, we're screwed. Jack had replied, yep, up shit creek without a paddle. What else is new? After closing arguments, when the jury went to deliberate, Jack made the call. Do you have it? He asked. Yeah, Jack. Everything's here. Cool, Jack said. Release it tonight. All of it. Let's bury these bastards. This was going to be the nail in the coffin, exposing all their lies. There was nothing they could do. Everything was confirmed. Corruption at its finest. He'd never forget that voice speaking to him when he woke up in the hospital. Good. You're awake. You murderer. Jack would never forget that man, or that voice. Who was he? He was the man running for re-election, the President of the United States. He later tried to lie, claiming it was all fabricated. Artificially created, he said, insisting none of the sources were reliable. That couldn't be further from the truth. He was involved. All of Earth's leaders were. What's the old saying? Money talks. Bullshit walks. And what were they trying to build? An interstellar relay. Why fix the problems on Earth when you could just fly away from them? Corporations and politicians spent billions of credits on this relay instead of taking care of people. This will benefit all mankind, the politicians said. Can you imagine? The possibilities are endless. Traveling to other planets in half the time, even other solar systems. But if you followed the paper trail, it was clear what was really happening. They weren't even hiding it. And who was going to stop them? Their egos and arrogance blinded them. I believe in karma. Xavier and I returned to our holding cells in the courthouse. Xavier said, You seem pretty calm. Jack replied, Brother, we're gonna be okay. What do you mean? Xavier asked. Jack looked at him. Do you remember what happened? How could I forget? Xavier exhaled. I still have nightmares. Jack touched his face. What if I hadn't made it in time, Xavier? I know, Jack, Xavier said, breathing out slowly. There was nothing we could do. Sometimes I almost wish we hadn't gone, but I really needed the money. It paid too well, and it almost cost us our lives. Xavier continued. Jack, I'm sorry. I didn't believe you. Do you hear me? Standing in his cell, Jack looked in the mirror, studying the left side of his face. The shrapnel had done a number on it, but Dr. Laura Chris had done incredible work. She could have removed almost all of the shrapnel, but there was a catch. If she did, Jack would lose feeling on that side of his face. The procedure could have caused permanent paralysis and nerve damage. Jack had looked at Laura and said, Just stitch me up. Document. I've always known pain. What's a little more? Jack said, I heard you, brother. I've already made a call to a friend. Do you remember Eb? Yeah. Xavier replied, a hint of suspicion in his voice. What's going on, Jack? What aren't you telling me? Jack took a deep breath and exhaled. Remember when you said I have too much tech? Well, that tech is about to save our lives again. Xavier's eyes narrowed.
How?
My drones captured everything in real time, Jack said. Multiple days, multiple angles. The Hawks got everything? Xavier asked. Everything, Jack confirmed. Xavier exhaled deeply. Who has the footage?
Ebb.
He's got it all on a secure, encrypted server, Jack replied. He's already analyzed it and confirmed its authenticity. At 8 p.m., it'll be released for the world to see. Xavier checked his watch. That's only an hour from now. Jack smiled. I know. Xavier gave him a searching look. Do you really believe Ebb will go through with it? This could clear us, Jack. Of course, Jack said. He never breaks a promise. He's been watching the trial, you know. I'm surprised you didn't notice him. Blonde hair, beard, glasses. He was sitting with his husband. Jack paused, thinking. What was his name again? Ebb was the one coughing, muttering bullshit every time the prosecution made something up. Xavier's eyes widened. Get the hell out of here. That was him. Jack smirked. I'd like to, but my cell doors are still locked. He then added, Dawn.
Dean.
David. Xavier blinked. What? Ebb's husband's name, David. Nice guy, Jack said. Ebb's got good taste. Xavier groaned. Jack. Yeah. Would you shut up? Sorry, Jack said with a smirk. Just trying to kill time. Xavier shook his head, deep in thought. I know, Jack.
I know.
If Ebb really goes through with this, we could be free. But at what cost? Just then, guards started walking toward our cell doors. One of them said, The jury has reached its verdict. Get up. It's time to learn your fate. Jack stood up and grabbed his crutches. They weren't going to cuff him. Where the hell was he going to run? We were led back into the packed courtroom. I looked around and finally noticed Ebb sitting next to my sister Claire and Megan, Jack's sister. How did I not notice them this morning? It's been a long trial, and maybe I'm just exhausted. Everything Jack told me has my head spinning. Jack looked at Ebb, and they both nodded. Xavier glanced at the wall clock. Shit, it was 8 p.m. Is this really happening? The guards sat us down, only to have us stand right back up for the judge. I never understood that, Xavier thought. Then the jury came in. Has the jury reached a verdict? The judge asked. Xavier checked the clock again. It was now 8:05 p.m. We have, Your Honor, replied a short woman on the jury. Good, the judge said. Will the defendants please rise? Jack muttered. What the hell? Stand up, sit down. Stand up, sit down. I'm crippled, for fuck's sake. Make up your minds. The courtroom laughed, though the bailiffs did not find it humorous. They put their arms under Jack's armpits and lifted him to his feet. We, again, Jack said, making light of the situation. Xavier looked at him, baffled. What the hell are you doing? Jack whispered. Buying us time. It's a huge upload, a few terabytes at least. Even with fiber, it takes a minute. Jack glanced back at Ebb, who nodded, eyes on his phone. Upload complete. It was now 8:10 p.m. The judge gave Jack a hard look. Mr. Wesley, if you can't restrain yourself, I will hold you in contempt. Sorry, Your Honor, Jack replied. It's been a long day, sir, Your Honor. The judge shot him a warning glare. Can we please proceed with the verdict, Your Honor? I believe the jury is ready, the prosecutor said. Yes, yes, the judge replied. Miss, will you please read the verdict? The judge asked. Xavier glanced at the clock. It was almost 8:20 p.m. He looked at Jack. We're screwed. Jack looked over his shoulder at Ebb and gave him a small nod. It's up. It's everywhere. News outlets were scrambling to verify the source and authenticity of the footage. It was real, raw, and unfiltered. A second later, someone in the gallery yelled, Holy shit. The judge looked up, frowning. Please, watch your language in my courtroom. Someone else gasped, Holy fuck. A court officer quickly walked over to the judge and whispered something in his ear. The judge's expression shifted, bewildered. Would you excuse me? He addressed the courtroom. I have received urgent news, and we need to postpone the verdict immediately. The entire room erupted in whispers, everyone shocked and confused. Bailiffs came over, escorting us back to our cells. We spent the night in our cell. I don't even remember sleeping. Too many thoughts were running through my head. It's over. It's out there. Ebb released everything for the public to see. How could it be disputed? We were innocent. I only did what I had to do, in self-defense. Did I kill them? Yes. Did I fire the first bullet?
No.
I can still hear their screams. I wish I could erase my memory, but it happened. I'll have to live with the consequences. Hell might have a special place for me, but until my time comes, I won't let those who did this get away with it. I will have my revenge. You don't just slaughter innocent people and then pretend it was a simple accident and oops, and act like you had nothing to do with it. The next day at the courthouse was a real spectacle. Everyone who was anyone was there. People wanted answers. Who were these unknown soldiers? And what did they find? Element Zero? What the hell is that? And why try to exterminate an entire planet for it? The public demanded answers, but the president refused to comment on the matter. No one even knew where the president was. The relay had been unusually active in the past 24 hours. What the hell is going on? I was woken up by a loud bang. Get the fuck up, flyboy. It's time to see the judge. Jack groaned. What time is it? Never you mind. The guard snapped back. Jack called out. Xavier, you up, brother? Xavier's voice came from the other side of the cell. Nope. I'm sleeping, he said sarcastically. Jack laughed. Looks like we gotta go see Daddy again. Think he'll put us in timeout this time? You need to be put in timeout forever, Xavier replied. Jack grinned. How dare you say such nice things to me? I never knew you cared. Once we were taken care of, they led us to the judge's chambers. A lot of people were waiting for us, including several government officials. Mr. James, Mr. Wesley, have a seat, the judge instructed. The judge cleared his throat. Gentlemen, new evidence has come to light. Jack couldn't hold back. No shit, he said. You mean to tell us we were innocent this whole fucking time? Everyone in the room turned to stare at Jack. One official spoke up. Mr. Wesley, where did you get the footage? My drone, Jack replied. You don't think I go anywhere without backup, do you? You learned that in the military. Always have someone watching your six, aka your back. Jack knew they'd gone through the footage meticulously that night, piece by piece, frame by frame, desperately hoping to find something that would prove it was fake. This cover-up was never supposed to see the light of day. But somehow, some pilot exposed it, and this time there was no way to bury it. Every government scrambled to deny any involvement, but the evidence said otherwise. The world's governments were corrupt. Who would have thought such a thing possible? How could it have come to this? If they could put a bullet in my head right now, they would. That would solve their problem. But there are too many witnesses now. The people know the truth. There's no way to spin it. They use taxpayers' credits to fund corporate corruption. How shocking. So, why the hell are we here? Xavier asked. The jury obviously found us guilty. Everyone assumed we were guilty, he added. That's the problem, the prosecutor replied. With the new evidence, it's clear Mr. Wesley killed in self-defense. The whole room seemed to agree. Jack said, Good. So we can all agree on that. For 5 days, I looked you both in the eyes, you judge and you, Mr. Prosecutor, and I told you I was innocent. And you both just sat there and watched. You're both pieces of shit. You two are why no one believes in our justice system. It took my drones to prove we were innocent, and you bastards want me dead. I can feel it. Jack wasn't wrong. The tension in the room was palpable. Well, I'm not going to give you that chance, not yet. So, take a damn number, and let us get the hell out of here. 1 hour later, we were acquitted of all charges. I wish I could say life was back to normal, but it wasn't. Xavier was still dealing with a nasty divorce. If his ex could have taken his heart, she would have. He moved in with his sister, Claire. My relationship with Claire was strained after the trial. I couldn't get over everything and didn't want to drag her down with me, even though she stood by our side the whole time, as did my sister. I remember Megan asking me, Please, just tell me the truth. So, I told her everything. Look at my damn face, I said, pointing to the scars. The shrapnel and micro-fragments still glowed faintly. They were from an incendiary round that exploded right next to me. The blast knocked me out, and I woke up screaming, with Xavier holding my head, trying to put out the flames. All I could feel was my skin burning. I heard the units getting closer as I struggled to lift my arm. Xavier yelled at me to stay still. But I did the unthinkable. I tapped the mini tablet on my wrist and unleashed the Hellstorm missiles. The Hawks locked onto and eliminated the targets. A few stragglers survived, but by the time General Command found us, they looked disappointed. We were supposed to be dead. No witnesses. Multiple rescue parties arrived, trying to figure out what the hell had happened. Our government and military branded us as traitors, and so began the trial and the attempted cover-up. To be continued. Author's notes: thank you all so much for reading, so hope you're enjoying the story. It's only going to get better from here. Thank you for being part of the crew. Also, I want to recommend another author, Amanda Panda. She inspired me to write the Titan Protocol. Check out her book here on Wattpad titled Learning to Love, Learning to Love. My name is Rose. At least that's what I've always been called in school, at least for the last 2 years that I've been able to attend anyways. One night I'm found by the police and taken to the hospital. After learning where I was taken, I ran. I couldn't possibly ever be loved by anyone. I was just a mistake, an accident. Wasn't supposed to live past my first birthday, and the fact that I had made it until I turned 12. At least I think that's how old I am was the greatest accomplishment of all, right?